Obviously, we have an interesting topic. I think it's interesting. Winter casual. We did autumn social evenings last time on the channel. I like that we did that. Very specific settings, a bit more laid back type of profiles this go round. And I think it's going to be a good one. I have no idea what Justin picked. One of my favorite humans in existence. It's a privilege and a pleasure to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Justin Copeland.
Man.
I got to bring you in the right way every time.
Yes, thank you. And Noel, I appreciate you enjoying Second Soul, and that is very moving to hear that that's how it makes you feel, because that's how I feel too.
I can tell you firsthand, because we do this end of the days. He wears it all the time. He's got to have a huge dent in that bottle. He wears it very often.
Oh man, I hope you're not getting dangerously low.
I appreciate you guys. If you don't mind, hit that thumbs up because it does need help. If you're not subbed to Justin, how many more times do I have to ask? I don't get it, guys. Thankfully, my man got his silver play button.
So
mission accomplished on that big milestone. I'm still super happy for you. Long overdue. Well deserved.
Yeah.
With that said, you want to start us off? So, guys, we are doing winter casual. Obviously, this is going to be stuff that maybe you're not necessarily wanting to go on a date with. Overall, a bit more versatile profiles. You can probably all 10 of these picks, I'm sure you can do just about everything without even knowing what his 5 are. Really, you can wear what you want when you want. But as far as ideal settings and situations, we geared towards cooler weather, casual, which could be daytime or nighttime. Casual nights out, you have those as well.
Yes, indeed. Well, this one I'm really curious because I saw you put this in a thumbnail of a live stream sometime in the last couple weeks, but I didn't get a chance to see it. So I don't know how you feel about it. So I'm really curious to know how you feel about this, because it looked like you tried it in that live stream. But my first one is Tabac 28.
I did.
From Le Labo.
Decants right here.
Okay. And I've loved this for a long time. I remember it came out in 2019.
I talked about you and Grace getting it for you.
Okay.
When I was smelling it, I gave that backstory. So hit us, man.
I'm going to share what I think, and then I want to know what you think. So this one, I loved it from the first time I smelled it. It came out in 2019. I happened to walk into a Le Labo store in September of that year, and I knew nothing about the city exclusives at the time. So it was there. I tried it. I'm like, this is incredible. And so the lady who was there, she's like, oh yeah, well, this is the price. I'm like, damn, not gonna happen. And I was like, how much is the sample? And she was like, oh, like a 1.5 ml sample was like $12 or something silly like that. I'm like, that just doesn't feel right. She's like, I'll tell you what, how about I just give it to you? And I'm like, sure. So I walked out of there and I babied that sample because it wasn't, I think it was like end of September. October came around and I was like, let me just see if I can still get that. And I'm like, I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm like, where is it? And then I learned, oh, it was only available during that month. You got to go to Miami to get it. So I was babying that sample for probably like a year. Like, honestly, just like,
rub it all over. I know I'm not supposed to rub it, but we got to make it stretch.
Like some people make the milk stretch with the water. I'm just get some water. I'm playing. It wasn't that dire, but after Grace and I met, we started dating, and I unintentionally I just kept raving about this fragrance. I'm like, oh, there's this fragrance from Le Labo, and I'll never get it. And to her, I was sending a message, and I was not trying to do that. So she ended up buying it for me for my birthday that followed. And so I've had this bottle ever since. And this is one of my favorite authentic depictions of tobacco. It doesn't really smell like, most tobacco fragrances are super blended with other things like ambers and honeys and vanillas, and it makes them feel cozy and maybe earthy. This is just tobacco, like real tobacco with some rum, some spices. It's a little smoky.
There's the word I was looking for. I get a lot of the smokiness.
Yeah. And it just transports me, man. I smell it and I feel like I'm, sitting on a balcony of a villa in like Cuba at sunset, just it's smoking a cigar and drinking, rum neat and just taking in the breeze. It's that good for me. So I love this stuff. And I wore it just about any time during the cooler months. I see people wear this in the summer. I could see how it might work in a weird
Mm.
way just because of the vibe that it's going for. Like it's the Miami exclusive. And I'm like, okay, well, Miami's not getting 30 degrees anytime. So
I don't know if it does it ever.
yeah, so people might wear this, and I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, in the summer night it's great." I'm like, still haven't tried that, but definitely works for more casual types of outings in the winter. It's great.
Now, as far as something that I do deem pretty functional for the cooler weather, nice and casual. Obviously, you can take this one on nights out. You can dress it up a bit more, but I think this is kind of quintessential. Personal favorite
Mm-hmm.
for both of us, ombre leather.
Mm-hmm.
I, I
Can't go
feel like
wrong.
I feel like if you don't like ombre leather, you should really try again. It's just it's that good, guys. I know seeing white florals like jasmine can be intimidating, but when you smell it, it's not a flowery, feminine type of smell to the way the floral accord comes across on this.
No.
Um, with this very bright, slightly edgy type of leather accord, you get a little bit of sweetness. Like it's anybody that thought maybe Tuscan leather was just too spicy and fruity. This is kind of a toned back version of Tuscan
Mm.
leather. Kind of the little brother is kind of how I've always viewed it. But in some ways, I just prefer the little brother, I guess, because
Mhm.
I'm a sucker for that. This is one of my favorites. I think it's a masterpiece when it comes to a leather accord based fragrance. I really
Yeah.
think they could not have made it better, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as a wearable leather that has a definitive personality to it,
Mm.
it strikes that balance better than most leather fragrances could. And yeah, next to Tuscan, it's way more functional for sure.
Yeah, Tuscan, I feel like that profile, like that's my go to for weddings. Bacio Immortel, for example, very
Yeah.
similar. That's my go to when I'm going to go to a wedding, some type of gathering
Mhm.
of that sort where it's a bit more dressy occasion. It evokes that. So that's kind of how I view the Tuscan leather profile, where I find this to be a more casual take on a similar style. Again, not the same
Yeah,
fragrance, but akin to that fragrance, basically.
that's right.
And if you guys haven't tried this one, yeah, there's a bunch of clones out there,
Oh.
but they're not the same. They're
There's a
just not.
lot of them.
You
There's a
know,
lot
rare
of them.
carbon from Afnan. Look, that curved the craving for a little while for me after I ran out of my decan of this in the Parfum, but inevitably I bought 50 mLs of this in the Parfum because just most of the time you can't supplement the
Mm,
original's experience with a clone. I don't care how good the clone is. So this is one of those ones where it's like, look, I know for a 50 ml, $100 range from discounters. If
yeah.
you've sampled it and you love it, you can't convince me you shouldn't save for this instead of getting amber and leather or rare carbon or name that clone. Basically, I
Yes.
think this is one of those cases where it's just I'll argue with you. Save your money if you really like this
Yes.
profile and get this one. This is worth it
This
for real.
next one is still pretty new to my collection. And it's the first of the house that I've ever tried. They actually sent it to me. I never had this house reach out. I think I first saw Sebastian talking about this, and I think I've only really seen him talking about this house, Molton Brown.
Mm,
And so I was always curious about him. They reached out and they sent me Recharge Black Pepper, yeah, is
I
what they
like the
call it.
bottle.
And I guess it is an EDP version of an original that was an EDT. It was like a lighter bottle, but it's called Recharge Black Pepper. And it's not new, I don't think. I think it came out maybe at least 2 years ago or something. But this stuff, it surprised me. I liked it when I first sprayed it. It felt like something that would be easy to wear, but still has a little bit of this gentlemanly quality, but not too serious. But it was when I wore it, and I wore it for a day. I was smelling it all day long, and it has this like, gosh, this muskiness to it that kind of wraps it up, and it almost it doesn't smell like this, but it gives a similar feel as Varvatos Vintage. That's
Mm.
kind of the feel it has around you,
So
like the
you definitely
texture of
like
it.
this one.
Yeah. And I was just getting wrapped up in it. As you say, I was just living in the sillage and just kind of like, you know, for me, I know I love a fragrance when my frag head brain kind of shuts off. And I'm not dissecting it or analyzing it
It's
like, oh, is that
enjoying.
the pepper? Is that the leather? I'm just like, all of this is amazing. And it just like lifts my mood. And then I saw Grace like 11 hours later and she was like, what are you wearing? She's like,
That
that is
always makes it better.
so good. So yeah, it really elevated itself over the one day I was wearing it recently. and it just strikes as something that's really easy to spray on. Again, it's a little bit more elevated, not just a out the shower grab and go, so to speak, but not like let me dress up and spray this on. It's not necessary. It could be signature for a guy if they really love it. So I think it's a great winter
Sounds like
casual for
something I'd
sure.
enjoy for sure.
It is. It's definitely. I like it. It's simple, but it's done well, and it has a nice
That's the
personality
best
to it.
ones. As far, I might as well dive into the other one that I put in the thumbnail. Another high
Please.
functioning fragrance, another olfactive fatigue monster.
Mm-hmm.
This will kill your nose. It just will. Because every time I giggle every time I get a compliment, not a compliment, a comment from somebody about it being weak. Because it's like, no, that's not what's going on, sir. And I get tired of telling people. Like lately, I've been doing "say it with me." ... Olfactive fatigue. That's been my main reply lately.
Mm-hmm.
Because Intense Bois is an absolute monster of a performer.
Yeah.
This it's rich. It is a deeper version of the original. It still maintains that lemon, fruity, citric freshness. But here you get some warm spice. Here you get more of the leather. That suede accord is very forward this time around. It's not as woodsy as it is more leathery versus the original. The original I found to be more woodsy. I always found it weird when people would say it smells like an ashtray, the original one. I never understood that. I get no smoke from it. So I never understood that. But this is superior, especially if you're not just on the coastline and high humidity area. You can wear this year round. But for my area, this is ideal for the cooler weather because it's been, it was in the 40s today. That's some pretty cool weather. Perfect on a day like today. Wearing a hoodie, you can dress this one up if you need to, but it's one of those do it alls. This is probably one of the two of my five that I would say this could just be what you have. This could be your entire fragrance collection if you want it to be.
That's
But
right.
you got to keep in mind your nose will wear out to this. It's very notorious for it. It's 40%. It has monstrosity type longevity, sillage, and projection. Again, it's a nose killer.
Yeah.
People around you are going to smell it. You just might not.
Yeah, that one, I do like it. And I remember when I first got it, I wore it a few days in a row just because I was really trying to get to know it. And I noticed each day I could smell it less and less. So, olfactory fatigue is something that can happen in a bit more of a long term. It's not necessarily you're going anosmic, meaning that it's permanent, but it can stretch out when it can compound over time. So I've heard a lot of people say, like, if you have a fragrance that you love, don't wear it all the time, which feels ironic because you'll start to go nose blind, even if it's like 12 hours in between, you spray it on again and you're just killing more and more and more until you be like, this stuff is so weak. You just got to give yourself a break from it. Yeah. So this next one is actually one that both Grace and I wear quite a bit. So she likes this one too. And it was literally made for that. And they actually put it on the bottle. This is from Fragrance du Bois, and it's Secret Tryst. And it literally says Pour en Parfum. And that's a perfect moniker that they put on it. It's really well marketed. And it's different on both of us, honestly. On her, I think some of the florals come out a little bit more. But it is primarily this incensey amber with this airiness to it. So it's warm, it's sweet. It is a little fresh spicy because there's quite a bit of cardamom.
I have a quick question to interrupt.
Yeah.
When you say incensey and airy, like a wispy type of incense, that's my favorite ones.
Yes.
That's kind of how Precious Treasure is. That's how the incense acts in that one.
Totally. I would say this, even though it is wispy, there is still a good bit of density to it. So it's not going to be fleeting. It's not going to be hard to detect. It's honestly sexy. Like, even just sniffing the bottle, I'm just like, damn, this is good. It's really good. And you could dress it up or not. So I think it's perfectly suited for a casual situation.
Sounds like a good casual evening out.
Yes. Evening.
Not real serious, not candlelit dinner, not romantic settings.
This is alluring stuff. It's alluring. I think that's a great word for it. So I recommend getting a sample of this one. It's, I think, one of the best from the house, if you're asking me.
So next for me is one, we're going to go a bit more affordable after a Fragrance du Bois fragrance. It just seems right. This you can find in the mid $30 to $40 range. And I think it's the more suitable casual profile to Fahrenheit, the timeless classic that is Fahrenheit. If you remove the leather, but really not anything else, like there's still a little bit of the leather accord you can smell here, but the quality is surprising for the price. You get 120 ml in that price range. I do think it's arguably one of the best car company fragrances ever. It's Mercedes-Benz Intense.
Okay, haven't
This is
tried it.
really, really close to kind of a leatherless Fahrenheit. The quality here is actually done
Interesting.
pretty well. Again, you get 120 milliliters of it, quality build bottle, not super cheap and synthetic type stuff. Big fan here. Has that strong violet petroleum type of thing going. Again, I wouldn't say it replaces Fahrenheit, but for the setting, it replaces Fahrenheit.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And it's a really good performer too. 8-10 hours range and longevity for me personally. But it's not overwhelming. I mean, if you go crazy with the sprayer, you'll just wear your nose out. It'll be overwhelming for about a minute before your nose fades.
Would you say it's like less, because I know Fahrenheit can be a little polarizing. Would you say it kind of removes that element of it, maybe a little bit
very
more
much, because
approachable?
it's very much like with Fahrenheit. I never put it in that category. When people say very designer, it smells designer. I've never really put Fahrenheit there, even though it's clearly a designer fragrance,
Sure.
because of its personality. It's not that typical type of designer. This is old school men's stuff, you know.
Yes.
And even then, it's not the old school citrus aromatic Fougere style either. It's very much it created its own lane back then, and it's held up in the test of time to where even to this day, look at Brioni Eau de Parfum. It smells like Fahrenheit with apple. I always
Exactly.
say it's a fruity reimagining of Fahrenheit. That's what I say about it. It's still making an impact all these decades later. So when you
Seriously.
can have something a bit more wearable, a bit more casual, if you're a fan of the profile, and you don't have to spend much money, you can save Fahrenheit for those evenings out, those suit and tie situations, and rock this during the day.
Man, I dig it.
With a t-shirt.
Next one. I'd say this is a pretty well loved one from Argos. And I would say that it's probably one of the most dumb reach ones in terms of a fragrance that I wouldn't say I would wear it all year, but especially for the cooler weather, it's probably one of the easiest ones to just grab and spray and not think about it. And that is Danae.
Couldn't agree more. I was hoping that's where you were going with this.
Yeah, Danae is, I think it's becoming one of my most worn for that reason. And I think this year I've worn this season I've worn quite a bit of it just because I'm like, Danae. And I just love the way it smells and it performs well and just kind of checks all the boxes in that way.
I think that I relate that to being his Epic Man, because you've heard me say I feel like Epic Man is in every Amouage fragrance.
Yes,
Danye
totally.
is in every Argos fragrance at this point because it's that
Totally.
Mysore sandalwood, cashmere wood DNA. It's
Yep.
really heavy in that fragrance, and he
Yeah.
uses it in everything else since.
Yeah. I think this is when he really started using that. And now it's in Fall of
Like his
Phaeton.
signature.
It's in, it just kind of found its way into everything. It's great. And it just has a great presence in the air. It feels quality. It's good construction. It moves slow, has a pretty dense sillage. And this is one I would say when people ask me, what should I try from Argos? This is usually the first one I recommend. Um, maybe depending on what they're coming from or what they're looking for as well. If they want something like, oh, I want to wear something for like a classy evening, then I might do okay. Then maybe check out Bacchus, maybe check out one of the others. But just kind of something you can wear anywhere, anytime, especially when it's not too hot. This is an easy pick. What you got
So it
next?
just wouldn't be me if I didn't have a really good blue. Really well-rounded blue, a blue that I know you even appreciate. I was so proud of you when you bought this fragrance. I mean, like a pageant mom watching her daughter win the crown on stage,
Yes.
kind
Yeah.
of pride, because it just warmed my
Yes.
heart to see you enjoy Bleu de Chanel Parfum.
I think it's the best one for me.
I think it's not just the best one in this line. I think it's
The
the
best
best
blue.
blue fragrance.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just so smooth and well-rounded and well composed, and it's still full of synthetic wood nuances.
Yep.
Cashmere wood, man-made. Ice Sweet Super, man-made. Now, these are not natural oils in here, but it manages to have this allure meets professionalism.
Oh yeah.
This is the business professional's blue. I think this is the most appropriate suit and tie blue fragrance that's ever been made. And
It
at the
blows them
same
all out the
time,
water.
you could wear it with a tank top if you really
Yeah.
wanted to, 'cause it's still Bleu de Chanel.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so
Totally.
well rounded, and it's a less is more fragrance. If you
Hmm.
feel the need to dial it up more, you're not going to overwhelm people. It's a very consistent sillage, but it's not a screaming projector.
No, it's a
I
heavier.
really like the personality that this fragrance has. If you're a louder person, me,
Yes.
this is more the type fragrance I should wear on a regular basis. That's why I've never been a big, beast mode all the time, everyday fragrance guy. I like the less is more fragrances because if your personality and your fragrance both scream and present your presence, it's too much for people. You can't have, look, maybe not for every person,
Yeah.
but be mindful kind of thing because I know I'm loud and outspoken. I don't need my fragrance to be.
Mm.
Something's got to be subtle about me because this isn't going to be subtle. I just understand it. I'm not going to be subtle. So that's why I gravitate to things like this. And that's
Yeah.
why I appreciate and respect what was done here. And why for 2 solid years now, every time it comes up, I look into the camera hoping a Chanel rep is watching and say, I need Bleu de Chanel Elixir. Because I really believe that's the only thing that could top this. I don't think there's another one that can beat this out
Yeah.
for what I believe is the crown of best blue fragrance. I know it's subjective and it's opinionated, but it's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I do feel like it is the top of the heap as far as a blue fragrance goes. As far as that era of fragrances, this genre, it is like it came out on top. And I've joked in videos over the past year or two, just like, what are we gonna get next? Probably an elixir. And I've done it jokingly, but to be honest, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be very curious to see what they would do. And they're not obviously not going to let the line die on the vine because it's a moneymaker. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone else has done elixirs and they have waited a really strangely long time if they're going to do one, but I don't know what else they would do. So that's what I would expect to see. Well, I guess this is my last one,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. And I almost left this out because I do find it to be, it could be a pretty elegant fragrance, but when I thought about it, it's pretty versatile as far as function goes. Um, it is a fougere,
Mm-hmm.
but it does fougere in a way that is not super buttoned up. It's not the most buttoned up. This is a couple buttons down. I would easily wear it casually. There's a sexy feel to it. What is that? What did it say?
It said best smelling HS after they raid Ross's carry on.
Yes. Um, and this is easily one of my favorite fougères, period, but it does it a little different. It's Fougere d'Argent.
I know you're a fan of that
Ford.
one. I didn't see that coming.
Huge fan.
Is that
And
still
what
in production?
no,
Oh,
unfortunately it's not.
you hit us with a
Um,
discontinued expensive private blue.
yes, I you know what? I've had this feeling in my head like it discontinued, but I'm like, let me actually
Yeah, have you ever actually checked?
I
That
think I
happened to
have,
me
but
a few times where I thought something was discontinued. It hasn't been around for 2 years, and all of a sudden it's back on Macy's. Like
oh,
Wanted
wait a
by
minute.
Night from Zaharoff, for example. All of a sudden
No,
Macy's is selling it again.
I will stand corrected. It is still available. It's
That's
on
even
Tom
better
Ford's
though.
website.
That's a good thing though, because now it's not
I don't
some
know why I
crazy
thought it was
$700
discontinued.
bottle.
Maybe they brought it back or something, or maybe yeah, just it never went
They
anywhere.
never bring back in the private line though.
You're right.
They
Yeah, they
never do
wouldn't do
that.
that.
When they discontinue the private line, it might come back as a signature later.
But the strange thing is, and maybe this isn't a huge representation of this, but I am surprised to see that there are zero reviews.
What? How?
Which, yeah, so I'm
The
like,
fragrance has been out for what, 15 years, 12 years? That's been a long
maybe
time.
not that long. It's been less than 10, I want to say.
2018. Wow, I'm way off.
Yeah,
6 years.
it hasn't been that long, but to see it with no reviews on the website would make me think that
Highly rated on here though.
it's a it's a simple fougere. They kind of strip away a lot of the typicals, but it has the core, the cleanliness of that lavender. It is kind of soapy, but not overly fresh. There is this warmth to it. I think it is that Akigala wood and it is that ginger. that
So it's
bring
like
this
a
kind of,
very green spice type of fragrance. Because anytime I
yeah,
see them list Fougere, I relate
yeah,
Fougere to spicy green.
it's spicy. And I think it also has like cashmere. I don't know if that has it there. There's
Yeah,
something kind of cozy, warm about it, almost like
perhaps the ginger.
I don't know if it's from the ginger because it's not zingy. There's nothing edgy about the fragrance. It's just it has these fuzzy edges to it, and it's cozy and warm while still being clean. I see. It's funny. I was thinking of B612.
I was about to ask you. I know you have Bois de Jour and B612.
So
Do you
I
feel they're
wouldn't.
similar?
I would tie it to B612 in the sense of its cashmere because I think
Yeah, because
B612 also has
there's no
that
real spice to B612. That's fresh cypress and
super
woods.
smooth,
Yeah,
dry, woody, fresh.
yeah.
I would say Fougere d'Argent is not as fresh as that. Not as
I could
clean
see Bois de
feeling.
Jour though. That's got that spicy green Fougere feel
Beau de Jour is
based on your
definitely
description.
is way more mossy, I would say, than this. It's very mossy on me, and it gets really dry and mossy and almost ambery on my skin. This one is it's a sexy fougere. That's the best way I can put it. So for me, what that does is it kind of broadens its function. So now I can wear it on a casual date, or I could wear it dressed up if I want to. I could wear it when the sun is out, if I'm dressed maybe in a nice t-shirt and jeans and a nice, bomber jacket, not super elegant, but I could throw this on and I'm casual, but I feel a little bit more put together. I wouldn't wear Beau de Jour like that, honestly. That feels a little bit more dressy and more particular. So that's why I chose it. I think it's a great casual winter fragrance in addition to other things. And I think it's a standout for Fougere for being pretty simple, but it is pretty particular, I would say, in its personality.
The most versatile and well-rounded and well-balanced tobacco fragrance I've ever smelled. Because there's
Mm,
so many different genres of tobacco: sweet tobacco, woody tobacco, leafy tobacco, boozy
mm,
tobacco, all these different types of tobacco. This has all of it.
yes.
All of these notes.
Okay.
You got woods, you got cognac and rum, you got incense, you got greens. It's an aromatic leafy type tobacco accord in itself. It's just done right. Shout out to my man Claude Deer. Zaharoff signature tobacco. It's so you can pull this off in the summer if you're easy on the sprays. You really can on into the winter. You can dress it up, dress it down. I think honestly, besides winter casual, this can actually be a signature scent. This is the
Agreed.
gentleman's tobacco.
This is that is easily the most approachable but unique tobacco. It's nothing but itself, but
Yeah.
it's not too unique for most people to understand and appreciate. So, yes.
Now, Pop, I haven't smelled anything from there. I've never even heard of Notes
Nope.
Library. You familiar with that, Justin?
Not familiar at all.
Plume Impressions Royal Bourbon is not the versatility of this.
I
No,
haven't
that's
tried the one.
gorgeous. That's like cutting open a Cuban cigar. It's amazing. That's
Wow.
top 3 tobacco in my collection. It's that
Yeah.
good. It's that Triumph of Bacchus and this are my top 3 tobaccos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're all 3 very different types of tobaccos at the same time.
Mm,
This is the all around of the tobacco.
mm,
This is the one that I would say just spray and go. It works that way. So this one can be just a t-shirt every single day. This could be your suit in your professional life. This could be your dinner date. It can be whatever you want it to be. So it fits many topics like this. It fits winter casual as well. And it
yeah.
seemed like a really good time to talk about it. I wore it last week. The wife was loving it because I did the shave set and then I gave myself way too many. I did like 9 sprays after I shaved.
Ooh.
Way too much, man. But when it's something I really enjoy,
Yes.
I go a little overboard just to like
Mhm.
overwhelm myself. I know
Yeah.
I'm a fade to it, but it's like for a few minutes, I'm gonna bask in this, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, it's no like you guys see my spray routine where I do spit. No, this is spraying all over the place,
Reckless with it.
rapid fire kind of thing. Yeah,
Man,
it's one of those
George.
fragrances.
Yeah, man. Well, audience, you guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us.
I
Thanks
sure
for
appreciate it.
being a great audience and chiming in with some great questions and comments and ideas and funny stuff, silly stuff.
I'm sure the tribunal will gather and discuss the names you guys came up with for his next fragrance and
The
back
track.
to you at a later date.
Yes, I will. I will gather
We'll
and
reconvene
discuss.
with that later. Yeah.
Yes, we will see. But
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
I
Great
love
topic.
every time we
Great
get to do
experience.
anything together. It is my pleasure. Mikasa Isukasa for sure, my man.